Good morning, everybody. It's Monday, so I want to remind you this is where you want to go to find the patterns at pattern-collections.com. Make sure that you hit this PayPal button if you would like to make a donation to help keep this website running at no cost to anybody else. It's not required, but if you would do that, it would be awesome. Pardon me, I've got a little frog in my throat this morning. I haven't talked to anybody yet today, so haven't warmed up them vocal cords. Pattern focus is where we want to go, and we're continuing with the tangled alphabet. So we're going to go down here to K. Goodness sakes. Kthu. No idea what that stands for. Mimi has done it here. It looks a lot like a tentacle of a octopus or something. That's the pattern. So the first step is we're going to make a line of oval-y shapes. Not necessarily round, not necessarily oval, just sort of round-ish shapes, graduating from larger to smaller, and then going the other way, also larger to smaller on this side. Between each of those shapes, we're going to draw just a line connecting each one like that. Okay. And then around each of these, we're going to draw an aura. And that sort of makes it tentacle looking. And then if you want, in the middle, depending on how wide you've made this, if you have room for more of these spots, do that with another aura just onto one side. And then you can embellish, excuse me, embellish as you see fit. And it looks like that. And here is a art sample. See how it comes up and looks very tentacle-y, very squid, octopus like. So that is what we are doing today. And I didn't decide what paper I'm going to use yet. What color do I want to use today? I don't know, but I need to make a decision here. Let's do orange. Have I done orange lately? I don't know. Or should I do this bright pink? Ah! Orange, bright pink. I don't know. Let me turn on my light. What am I feeling like today? How big do I feel like? Do I want to just do a small one? Or do I want to do a bigger one? I think I want to do a bigger one. No. Yeah, smaller one. I usually make those kinds of decisions before I start, but you know, I'm not exactly all there today. What else is new? Okay, and then we also want to incorporate the letter K somehow in this pattern. So do I want to use the letter K as a string? I think maybe. I think something like that. There's my letter K. You saw me draw it, right? And then I'm gonna maybe make those tentacly things kind of like that. Okay, let's start with this one. Pen. Pen would help, huh? I feel like I'm far away from my desk. I'm gonna get my chair over here to sit. Get my face a little closer to my paper so I can see what I'm doing. Let's make them the biggest here. And work our way to a little bit smaller as I go toward this end. You are very far away. That's better. And then I'm going to go this way and make them like that. And on this side as well. Something like that. And then in between here, we're going to connect these. So how you guys doing? Of course, I am drawing this on Mother's Day weekend. So I'm drawing this in the beginning portion of May, middle portion of May, I guess middle of May. And you're seeing it at the beginning, middle of June. And who knows, I would have thought by now, when you told me in March, when all of this madness started, that we would be still doing this isolating thing at Mother's Day, I would have scoffed at you. I am no longer scoffing, and I am no longer making any sort of prediction as to when we will be free. So maybe we will be free by the time you see this, and maybe we won't. I don't rightly know. Can't guess at this point. If we are let loose, I got a excuse me, a jury summons in the mail yesterday. So I was curious as to how in the world that would work, because even if we're let loose, how in the world do you social distance in a jury room? Because we're packed in there like sardines usually, so I think that'd be interesting. I posted that on my personal Facebook page today, and people are responding that, yeah, they've already gotten their jury summonses as well, you know, over the course of this, and, you know, courts have been closed, so you just call in at the regular time and the recording just says, we don't need you, and that's it. So how do you guys, in normal times, how does your jury system work where you live? Do you have a jury system? Do your courts just run in a different way? I know that here where I live, we have a 1 day or 1 trial requirement for jury duty. So if you have been requested to serve on jury duty, you only have to appear for 1 day or 1 trial, whichever is, longest. You don't. So if you've called in and you have to go in. Well, if you called in and you don't have to go, your group isn't called. You're not needed for tomorrow, the next day. Then you're done for that period of time, and they don't call you back for at least a year. If you are called in, then your group goes into the jury room, and you are, let's do these little auras right here like this. Yeah, if you're called in, then you sit in the jury room and you check in, and then you wait, and then when you're assigned to a group, and then if your group is called to just leave, you are dismissed, then you're done for the day. If your group is called to stay, you just sit and wait around until the court's ready for you. And sometimes you wait around, and then it becomes lunchtime, and you go to lunch, and then you come back, and then they dismiss you. And sometimes you sit and you wait, and then you're called into the courtroom, and you are actually going to be questioned as to whether or not to be on the particular jury. And then once you have either been dismissed from the courtroom or you become a juror, then you that is considered your service for the year, and you're done. So I've been on every one of those stages. I have only served on a jury once. I've gotten into the courtroom portion 3 times, I think. Many times I've been to the main jury room and then been dismissed for the day before my group gets called to a courtroom. And I've called on the phone the day before, and they've said, you don't have to show up. So I've done all of those things. But once you've done that for the year, you're done for the year. Now, where we lived when I was little, and before I was of age to be chosen as a juror, we lived in an area where it was 7 days. You were on jury duty for 7 days no matter what. And so whether you were needed or not didn't matter. You showed up to the jury room every day for 7 days. And my mom said that was always really awful. Can you imagine the days before cell phones? So you had really nothing to occupy yourself besides your newspaper or your book or, puzzle or something, crosswords, whatever you took with you to the jury room, and you sat there all day from like 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. just waiting to see if you get called in. And then if you did get called in and you had a short trial. Let's say you got called in on your first day and you had a short trial and it only lasted like 3 days. You then still had to go back to the jury room and wait the rest of your time. Yeah, it was that system was very difficult to get people to come because they knew they were going to be stuck in there. I think the 1 day, 1 jury system is easier for people to actually want to serve, because most of the time you are dismissed fairly early, you know. So it's less onerous on you. 7 days was just, I mean, most people couldn't do 7 days away from work or home. My friend in the UK asked, you know, how does that work with work and your employer and all of that? Well, here, I don't know about everywhere else, but here, our employers are required to let you off for jury duty with no penalty. You don't, you know, you don't get penalized for going to jury duty. You keep your job and all of that. So I mean, even if you ended up on a really big case, let's say you ended up being on the O.J. Simpson jury and you were on there for months, your employer had to keep your job. You can't lose your job because you're a juror. However, they don't have to pay you. It's not a requirement to pay you. It's just a requirement by the government that you don't lose your job. So many employers, especially smaller ones, only either don't pay or only pay for a few days. Because, to be honest, most jury trials, unless they're for very serious crimes, most jury trials only last a few days. But occasionally you get ones that go longer. Now, my particular employer will pay me for every day I'm on jury duty, as long as I have proof from the court that I've been there that day. And of course, the court always provides that. They give you this piece of document that's stamped with the date and the time when you leave the courtroom every day. So you always have that proof of jury service for your employer. Jurors are quite often made up of people who work in government jobs, county or state jobs, because those are all fully paid positions no matter how many days on a jury. So there are always a lot of teachers, a lot of civil servants, a lot of, you know, construction people, anybody who works for the county or the state. You can get a hardship request to be dismissed from a jury, especially like when you get to the point where like you've been called into the courtroom and they start saying, well, you know, this trial we're estimating will take X number of days to completion. So that would put us through, you know, this date on the calendar. They ask, is there anyone who would have difficulty attending court through that period? And many jurors will stand up or raise their hand and say, yeah, I can't. I have this, that, or the other. And the court takes that into consideration. They certainly don't want to have a juror on a case that might not show up So, because you know you have to be there every single day. You have to commit to that. And if there's something in your life preventing you from being able to do that, then they don't want you. And that's where, when I've been to jury duty, they usually call like 50 or so people to find 12, because that's where you weed out a whole big bunch of people that say that they can't for one reason or another. And one of the reasons is hardship. If you don't get paid, you know, most people can go a day or two without getting paid. It's bad, but it's not horrible. But like I ended up on a jury that was for a serious murder case with gang members, and it was going to be 2 months. And we went 2 months. Not every day for 2 months, but we went 2 months. And that particular case, we went through 3 sets of jury pool. So that means that they probably questioned about 150 people to find the 12 jurors plus the 3 alternates. So to find 15 people, we had to, the court had to go through 150 at least. It might have been more, because the groups were really big. We were just packed into the courtroom trying to, at the initial stages. It was crazy. But yeah, that was an interesting time. The other time that I've been into the courtroom, I didn't get chosen, but it was going to be a civil case. I don't know, it had some sort of case with, trying to remember what they said it was. It was going to be a civil case that had something to do with a business and a business dispute. And that one, they estimated, was only going to take like 4 days to present the evidence. So, yeah. But being on trial with a murder case, let me tell you, you have to be prepared for the evidence. What has been seen cannot be unseen. I saw some stuff I probably would not have chosen to see, ever. So, yeah. I think if I was ever questioned again for a serious type of case like that, I would probably be able to honestly say, you know, I've been on a murder trial before, and I don't think I could do it again. That the evidence disturbed me that much that I don't think I could do it again. All right, now it's time for the highlights. I think I'm going to highlight here, or should I highlight there, or do I do both? I'm going to do both. I'm going to do my light pencil. Oops. Uh-oh. Ah, that didn't sound good. That's because I was in the wrong hole. Okay, well. So anyway, what was my point? My point was that I don't know that we're going to be to that point of normal yet for me to even worry about jury duty. My gut tells me that when it comes to the day, which will be actually the day after you see this, it'll be on the Tuesday. That my guess is that Monday evening I'll be calling the phone line and they will say your service is not needed. That would be my guess. Might not be, but that would be my guess. Because I'm not too sure how we would social distance, as that jury room is usually packed full of 300, 400, 500 people initially, and then they weed you down into the smaller groups, and but even the smallest group is usually 30, 40, 50 people. I see no way to social distance in the courtroom. I just don't. So I think I'm going to do... I want to do that? Yeah, I think so. But anyway, if your system is different than mine, I'd be interested in hearing about it. And then I understand, and I've never really researched it, but I understand that then there's the grand jury system, and those are people who just are kind of like professional jurors. They do it all the time and they get paid for it. You don't get paid much. The state pays you like $5 a day. Not even really enough to buy your lunch. I don't know what grand jurors might get paid, but the grand jurors are a different beast. I think you have to volunteer to be a grand juror. It's not compulsory like the regular jury system. I think you have to actually apply to become a grand juror. But I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. Okay, that's pretty cool. I like how that turned out. And it was fairly quick. Kthu. There we go. There's my K. I like how that turned out. I'm pleased. So hopefully things are going to be better. If nothing else, you can always create within yourself that sense of normalcy. You know, things are getting to the point where we've been doing this long enough that we now have a routine at home. Hopefully you have kept a routine. You know, going to bed at the same time every day, getting up at the same time every day, you know, having meals at a regular time, calling people, maybe making Zoom or Skype or messenger calls with people on a regular basis, you know, just those kinds of things to make yourself sort of normal, because we need that in our lives. And I just hope that you're all staying safe and reaching out to each other, because that's the only way we're going to stay sane, is if we reach out to each other. So I hope everybody's doing well, and I will see you on the next video. Go out and do something nice for someone today, okay? See ya.